Hi guys, and welcome to Premier League Prediction Week 2. And tonight, let's get started. Tonight we start with the Friday night football. I think it's been introduced as something that's going to be done this year. They'll have a couple of Friday night games. I think they take it in turns. So last week we had Monday night football. I think this week we have Friday night football, and I think that's how they're going to work it this year with the TV deals. Don't quote me on that though. So we start with the first Friday night football of the season, which is Manchester United versus Southampton. I watched the Manchester United game last week. They didn't exactly play their best, Manchester United, but they did do what champions normally do, is find three goals out of nowhere. And Zlatan's goal, by the way, was absolutely out of this world. I couldn't believe what I saw. I think Manchester United are in for a treat this year, watching him play for Manchester United. I mean, even at the age of 35, I think he's still got a lot to offer to football and definitely to Manchester United. So a fantastic signing there, especially for the free as well. It is Jose Mourinho and Zlatan's debut at Old Trafford tonight. I don't think they'll whack Southampton too much, because Southampton didn't do too bad themselves last week. But being though it is at Manchester United, it's going to be a hot crowd due to Jose's first game there. As manager, Zlatan as well. And just seeing generally, the Manchester United team, generally being at home, I think that Manchester United will have the edge. I'm going to go Manchester United 2, Southampton 1. We then go to the Saturday games now, the 12:30 kickoff, which is Stoke versus Manchester City. Again, I watched Manchester City last week against Sunderland, Pep's first game in charge at Manchester City. Again, didn't play their best, but again, did what champions do. They kept fighting, kept going, showed hunger, got the result in the end 2-1. You can't moan about that. I think they do need to sort their defence out a little bit. It was a good goal from Jermaine Defoe, but that mistake never should have happened, and I think they need to sort out the defence more than anything. I think Pep will sort that out before the transfer window closes. Again, yeah, Stoke didn't do too bad last week again, but again, going by Manchester City's results in the week as well shows they're not mucking about. As I say, they won last week, even though Sunderland got it back to 1-1. They kept fighting and was like, that's not happening to us. We're going to keep going until we get the win here. So that showed great character to me. And then to whack that team in the week, I can't remember who they were playing, but they won 5-0 in the end. So they're more or less in the Champions League now. As I say, Stoke did do well, but I'm going to go Stoke 1, Manchester City 3. I think Stoke are there for the taking, to be honest. As I say, Manchester City are going to be a hard team to beat this year, as well as Manchester United as well. So those are the two teams to look out for, I think, this year, as well as some others, but I'll get onto that. We then go to Spurs versus Crystal Palace. Again, quite a good game last week between Everton and Spurs. Finished 1-1 in the end. It was quite lively, as you expected. Again, this is a bit of a derby, this one. So I don't expect to be too much going on. I'm going to go Spurs 1, Crystal Palace 1. I fancy a draw there. We then have Watford versus Chelsea. I didn't watch all of the game against West Ham on Monday night, but again, same as Manchester United, same as Manchester City, they found the win out of the bag. That's what world-class strikers can do for you, Diego Costa, and they ended up winning in the end. So again, Chelsea's another team to be looking out for this year for the title race. And again, I think I'm going to go for the same result as the West Ham game. I'm going to go Watford 1, Chelsea 2. I think Chelsea will have just a little bit too much for Watford, and I think they'll still win. We then have West Brom versus Everton. As again, I spoke about Everton last week. Didn't play quite well. West Bromwich Albion as well. Yeah, still finding the feet a little bit. But again, I'm going to go for Everton to be a little bit too strong for West Brom. I'm going to go West Brom 0, Everton 2. We then have Swansea versus Hull. I did watch the Hull versus Leicester game last week. I thought Hull didn't play their best, but nor did Leicester either. And Hull ended up winning in the end and got their first 3 points of the season, on the first game of the season, if you like, in the Premier League. Be a little bit harder, being away from home. Swansea, who's got Premier League experience. Well, I know Hull have as well, but Swansea's been there a little bit longer. I'm I'm going to go for a draw on this one. I'm going to go Swansea 1, Hull 1. I think Hull will be able to cope, but it'd be a bit too much to try and maybe get a win at Swansea, so I'm going to go for a draw. We then have Burnley versus Liverpool. Yeah, it's hard to discuss Liverpool because I'm not sure if it was just Arsenal's very poor defending last week, or if that's the way Liverpool are going to play this year. Get in your faces, do the pressing, lots of hungry goals and lots of hungry strikers. Because to be fair, they didn't exactly play their best against Arsenal in the first half last week, and I don't really think they played the best in the second half either. I think, as I say, it was just Arsenal's lack of experience at the back four that helped them to score so many goals. As I said, I have talked about Jurgen Klopp's team this year. How he gets teams playing and stuff like that, and how he has turned Liverpool around. But again, it's hard to judge because that was a very inexperienced back four last week. It would have been very interesting to see how that would have panned out had we had a full-fit squad. But nevertheless, you do have to score goals anyway. You can only play what's put in front of you. But having said that, I do think that Liverpool will be too strong for Burnley. To be honest, no disrespect to Burnley whatsoever. Even though it's at home, I'm going to go for Burnley 1, Liverpool 3. As I said, Liverpool are a team to look out for this year, but I'm not going to go on last week, as I say, because we'll never know now if it was just due to lack of experience at the back for Arsenal, or if Liverpool genuinely are just going to be like that kind of team this year, getting in your faces and scoring lots of goals. Remains to be seen. We then have the 5:30 kick-off, which is Leicester versus Arsenal. Again, let's carry on with Arsenal for a minute. As I say, terrible back four last week. Whilst I say terrible back four, it was unexperienced back four. Again, I don't think Arsenal did play their best. The only positive thing from last week I can take is that we did score 3 goals, so we know that we've got goals in us. That's the only positive we can take, I think. Other than that, I thought it was a dreadful game on our behalf. Same with Leicester, really. I mean, Leicester missed a lot of chances last week. Jamie Vardy, that one over the bar that was squared across to him. You got to say, last season he's burying that. They did score the penalty. I don't think it was a penalty myself. I think it was outside the box, actually. Come to think of it, come back to me now. So Arsene has come out and says that he might put Laurent Koscielny in the back four as a push, but still no Olivier Giroud or Mesut Ozil. So again, I'm not quite sure why. The final. Well, they didn't even play in the final. Ozil, Giroud did. Okay, for France, but that finished on the 12th of July. Do you know what I mean? It's now like the 20th of August, so they've had like a month to recover. Ridiculous, to be honest. The two teams that we would have liked to avoid at the start of the season was Liverpool and Leicester. And you've left your top teams on the bench, and well, not even on the bench actually. Give them a break. So that's just poor management in all departments for me. Hard to discuss this one. Obviously Leicester being at home, Arsenal last week, and Leicester last week as well. But I do think because it's at home, it's going to kill me again to say this. Leicester will get in our faces. Jamie Vardy will cause us problems, same as Mahrez. They're going to wind us up, no ends up, with us trying to bid for Mahrez and Vardy in the summer and getting rejected. Again, it's going to be a hot crowd. And I think that Leicester are just about going to edge it. I'm going to go Leicester 2, Arsenal 1. What a terrible start that would be for Arsenal. We then go to the Sunday kickoffs. Fantastic, lovely tasting derby here, which is Sunderland versus Middlesbrough. Again, as I say, with the experience, Sunderland's got the Premier League experience. Middlesbrough's only just come up after 8 years being away from it. That can make a difference sometimes in a derby. But again, Sunderland don't exactly, not exactly a high-flying scoring team, nor a Middlesbrough. As I said, I was quite impressed with Sunderland last week. They did keep Manchester City at bay. But will it be a different kind of approach, against Middlesbrough? Different kind of setup. Obviously, they won't want to defend and put Dembele on the ball against Middlesbrough. They might want to have a go in this one. And how will Middlesbrough set up? Haven't been in the Premier League for 8 years. It's a tasty derby. How they're going to set up? Are they going to put Dembele on the ball? Not sure. But I'm going to go for a draw for this one, to be honest. I'm going to go Sunderland 1, Middlesbrough 1. As I say, it was very hard to analyse this one, but I just went all out and just went 1-1. And then we finished the weekend off with West Ham versus Bournemouth. As I say, West Ham They could have made it 2-2 last week, actually, on Monday night. Payet, he could have made it 2-2 towards the end, but Chelsea did keep it out. And what I did say, West Ham, they did play quite decent, but obviously, as I said, Chelsea just found a goal out of nowhere, which is what champions do. So going on by that, okay, Bournemouth didn't play too bad themselves last week, but bring us out to West Ham. I'm going to go West Ham 1, Bournemouth 0. So that completes this week's predictions, guys, and I'll see you next week for next week's predictions. Hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and I'll see you next week. Thank you for watching, guys.